So the first bad Godot habit that I see a lot of new users doing especially is scaling their collision shapes. So you might have heard this one before, but if you scale a collision shape in Godot, it's probably going to mess up your internal physics calculations. So for example, I see a lot of people wanting an oval collision shape. So they would get a circle shape, and then scale it down on the X. And although this might look fine, it's not going to behave as you'd expect. You're going to have really inaccurate collisions. So unfortunately, you're going to have to reset this and settle for the capsule shape. The general rule of thumb is if you ever want to change the size of a collision shape, always go into the shape property and just change the parameters inside of here. Just don't mess with the scale property. And if you need a more advanced shape, you can always use the collision polygon, which allows you to obviously draw a more specific shape. The only issue, this will have a little bit more of a performance cost. Now, the next bad habit is putting way too much stuff in your auto load. So as you can see, I have a basic auto load script here. This is kind of like a global script, as you'd call it in a lot of other engines, but I see a lot of new users putting things like their player health, maybe some different flags for the save state of the game, and even like the current weather system. Basically everything just ends up in one single auto load. What this will do is it'll create a script that just has a bajillion properties, and the downside is it's going to be really hard to actually find where things are and also debug things. You might end up with duplicate variables if you're storing things locally and also globally. So usually it's best to just store all of your variables locally. So stuff for the player, this would go in your player script. Stuff for the level state, maybe this could go in your save file, I guess. And then the current weather, I would split that off, put it into its own weather system node or auto load itself. And all of these settings can go in a settings file. And that way you have all your variables separated into the systems that they're used for. Now, if you ever want to access those variables, you obviously cannot get them from a single like global script, but in the example of, let's say, the player health, let's say I moved this stuff over to my player script here. What I like to do, and you guys have probably seen this pattern on the channel before, is use this static variable to store a reference to the current or active player. Whenever a new player is made, we assign the value of that variable to ourselves, and that allows us to do something really cool. So let's say I made a new script here and I wanted to access the player's health. Instead of calling like global.player health, stuff is a lot more organized. So I can call instead the player class dot current player dot player health. And I actually didn't save this script. So we'll go back. And now it should pop up here. Yep, we have player health. So this is one of the ways you can access the data instead. And to me, this feels a lot more organized. It's more of like having a file structure is a good way to think of it, but everything is contained in its own system rather than in one giant monolith. Now, not really a bad habit, but I have another quick tip. If you hit Control P on your keyboard, I use this shortcut all the time. It's like the most used shortcut. It'll just quick open a file so I can search for any file in my game, and I don't have to search through my actual file system tab to find what I'm looking for. The next bad habit is not following the like official Godot style, and I'm gonna leave a link to this page in the description, but this is the official GD script style guide, and it'll basically show you how you're supposed to write your code. Now, there's technically not a downside to going against this, I guess, but the pros are that your code looks a lot cleaner and you have some sort of consistency. And if you're working with a team of, multiple developers, you guys are all going to be following the same style guide. So it makes sense to follow this. It doesn't really make sense to go against it. And today I actually saw a really funny example of this. This was a screenshot from another video, but this is not how you should be coding. Putting all these extra spaces to keep your colons in line and your class names in line. This is actually like hilarious to me. If you guys are coding like this, GD script is not supposed to fit on a Google spreadsheet. So do not follow this style. I'll leave the link to this. Please follow the official style guide because it'll make your code a lot nicer. Now, next up, we have a bad habit that you see a lot in Godot tutorials, because honestly, tutorials are really for just getting these systems up and running rather than making them super organized and like maintainable. So this bad habit is putting too many things in one function. As you can see here, I have a really basic player movement script. And in the physics process, we have a ton of different sections. So first we handle the gravity, then we handle the movement, then we handle jumping, then we handle attacking. These are all different parts, but they're technically contained in one function. Now, first of all, because we're not using a state machine, which also that's another point. If you don't know what a state machine is, please research it after this video. Because we're not using a state machine, our code is probably going to be expanding a lot in the future. So you can imagine this function is going to get pretty lengthy. And because of that, this is going to be a nightmare to actually debug because there's just so much code going around. Even with our comments, this gets a little messy. So what I recommend doing instead is something along the lines of what I have here, where the physics process is calling multiple separate functions. Each of these functions are kind of their own components. It's a really subtle change, but you'd be surprised how much easier this is to work with than having just one super long script. Now, there's another benefit to this, which I'll kind of briefly mention as well, but if you're utilizing Godot to its full potential, you're probably going to have nodes as components, which are nodes that you can attach to something to add functionality to it. And depending on what your player script looks like, you might be able to separate these functions into their own components. I don't know if I'd actually go that far realistically with something like gravity, but the point of this is one function should only have one purpose. So if you find a function that's doing many different things or even two separate things, it's probably a good idea to just split that up into two functions. Each of them just does one thing. It makes a lot more sense. Now, the next bad habit, I'll mention this as briefly as possible, but I don't really have visuals for this one. It's just to focus too much on efficiency. Now, honestly, a lot of people get into game development and they want their game to be able to run on a calculator. And although that's pretty cool, it's usually not really important at all. So I see not as many new developers, but more like intermediate level, they'll focus a lot on making things as performant as possible. And I think that is a good thing, but you typically have like two types of developers. Either they're not focused on performance at all and their game can't even run, or they're focused so much on performance and they go so deep into like refining their systems that nothing substantial actually ever gets developed, which really sucks. And I think there's obviously a balance to find there. Now, I'm not saying, you know, performance doesn't matter, because obviously performance still matters until we have supercomputers, but I would recommend just not going so far into the realm of performance that it eats away at your development time. So basically, don't obsess over performance. It's still good, just don't obsess over it. Now, this next one is kind of funny to me because I honestly didn't know people did this until someone brought it up in my Discord server, which, by the way, if you're not in the Discord server, the link is in the description. This one is about not using setter functions. So I have this example here. We have the player script once again, and we have a health variable. Something that you're going to be doing a lot is emitting a health changed signal or similar whenever the health actually changes. This would be really good for connecting to UI. Maybe you want to update a health bar whenever the player's health changes. So to do this, we have to, ensure every single time the health changes that we emit this health change signal. And with the system we have here, all we have to do is just make sure whenever we change the player's health, we would say something like player.change health. We are manually calling the function and we tell it the amount we want to change it by. And this works. This will, change the health. It'll emit the signal. But this is a little dangerous in my opinion, because we are assuming that everyone working on the project knows that whenever you change something's health, you have to use this specific function. A lot of people will probably just come in here and they'll say like player.health, and they might say plus equals 10, and they're changing the health the same way they would, although this doesn't trigger our health changed signal, so the health bar is not going to update. And there's a really simple fix to this. Again, I didn't know people actually coded this way, but it's to use Godot's built-in setters. So if you're not using setters already, this is going to be a game changer for you. We simply type a colon here, we go down a line, we type a setter function, we fill out the new value parameter, and inside of this setter function, we first make sure to update the health. So we say health equals new value, and then we can copy this line where we're emitting the signal, and boom, we have a setter function attached to the health variable. Now, if you don't know what a setter function is, I would probably research that in another video because I'm not going to cover all the nuances here. But really, all you need to know is by attaching this block of code to our health variable, Godot is going to automatically call this code whenever we set our health. So by doing it this way, we would obviously want to take out the emit signal line here, but we can change our health with this function. We can also change our health directly just by saying player.health plus equals 10. And no matter how we change the health variable, it's going to ensure that we always emit the health change signal, which means our health bar would always update. We wouldn't have any like hard to trace down bugs. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. So if you haven't seen part 1 of this series, I'll leave it linked in the description. You can check it out if you want to watch that. But thank you to all the current channel members over on Patreon and also YouTube members. Thank you so much for your support, as it really does help the channel out a lot. Appreciate you watching the video, and I hope you learned something new. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.